Hey everyone, what is going on? Albus here. Today I wanted to talk about the Furious Charge Barbarian versus the Leap Barb. Basically, if you're interested in playing the Barbarian and you're thinking about which build you should go for, yeah, we're going to talk about that. But also, if you are familiar with the builds, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about it as well. So here we go. Now, what you're watching in the background is the Furious Charge build. I've got around about the exact same gear equivalent on both of the classes, by the way. Oh, sorry, on both of the builds. The gear's around about the same legendary gems and everything. Now, we're going to be doing Greater Rift 50, just so you can get an idea. You know, we're not trying to push crazy high Greater Rifts or anything like that, but, you know, it's about 5 Greater Rift levels above Torment 10, so you can get an idea just how easy Torment 10 is in a basic Rift. So anyway, let's jump into it now. What I found is that the Furious Charge Barbarian is probably a little bit more difficult to put together when it comes to gear, but at the same time, once you have the gear, it is very rewarding. Now, what you're going to find is that with the Furious Charge Barb, you've got Permanent Wrath of the Berserker, so you've automatically got a ton of extra movement speed. You've got Sprint permanently up, and also the distance from Furious Charge as you travel. And by the way, I recommend if you are going to play this build, don't be so frugal like I am right now, trying to kill everything. You just basically stomp through and don't worry about the minions left behind. If you're doing Greater Rift 50 or something like that, when you get to like Greater Rift 70 or higher, the Furious Charge Barb actually runs into some defense issues. Your DPS is absolutely, perfectly fine, but you will struggle to stay alive. But the thing about the Furious Charge Barb is that you can compensate for that. I mean, just changing 2 passives around, gearing a little bit more defensively, you can easily make up for the lack of defense at a loss of a little bit of DPS. Now let's talk about the Leap Barbarian. So the Leap Barb, on the other hand, is a little bit easier to gear besides getting an ancient version of the weapon that you need. Once again, in the background, we're running Greater Rift 50, exactly the same setup and everything. And you're going to notice there's a pretty big difference. So the Furious Charge build pretty much, most of the time often one-shots elite packs. Occasionally it doesn't, might even take 2, 3, even 4 times if you stuff up the charge, or maybe you didn't output enough DPS, it did crit or something like that, but most of the time you can just one-shot elites. When it comes to the Leap Barb, you can definitely do that, but the whole process of jumping around, using your attacks is way more slower. Most of the DPS actually comes from your Avalanche and your Ancient Spear, which is a little bit different. So when it comes to the actual Rift Guardian, both kill speeds were around about the same. Now, rather than show you the complete gameplay, what I'm going to do is just tell you the results. Basically, on the Furious Charge build, I was able to do the Greater Rift in about 3 minutes. But when it came to the Leap Barb, it was more along the lines of 6 minutes. Like twice as long. Now, the gear's the same, pretty much. Everything's basically identical. It's just the speed and the output of the DPS. So there is a massive difference between the two playstyles, and I'm not saying anything like, they should bring the Leap Barbarian up to the Furious Charge or anything like that. They're two different, whatever, who cares about that stuff. What I am saying is that when it comes to the actual Leap Barb, and say you want to push Greater Rift 70 or higher, you're going to hit a DPS cap where you can't squeeze out anymore. I mean, there's only so much DPS you can get out of your character. You can throw on, level up your gems a little bit more, make sure all your gear is ancient, get the added strength bonus, go all out on it, and you're going to hit a wall either way. And by the way, that wall is not 70, but you are going to hit a wall. Whereas when it comes to the Furious Charge build, it's very, very scalable. I mean, you just have to have standard gear to output the DPS you need for something like Greater Rift 70. You just have to work out the defense problem that you run into. Now, when it comes to the actual playstyles themselves, I actually prefer the Leap Barbarian more so than the Furious Charge Barb. I just find it a lot more funner. So what I recommend is that, if you're just dicking around with your friends, go for the Leap Barb and have some fun. The DPS will kind of be around about the same if you're running in a group, because you don't have to worry about the movement speed too much because you're all together. But if you are going to play the DPS and just really way more efficiently, then the Furious Charge Barb is better. The current meta right now for the Barbarian is obviously a little bit different. It's the Health Globe Barb, it's support, so it's really, really weird the way the season's turned out, but my overall experience right now is that I would love to see the Leap Barb not have such a hard cap, you know, much more defensive. You can scale down on certain stats. Getting that DPS out of that particular class is really, really hard. So it's totally up to you what you want to do. If you're going to push greater rifts, go for the charge build. If you just want to have some fun and still push greater rifts at a reasonable pace, I guess, and reasonable level, Leap Barb is still okay. Now, I've also tried the Whirlwind Barbarian as well. I thought I'd just quickly bring that up. It sucks, guys. Like, it's just nowhere near as efficient as the Furious Charge Barb. Even if you, like, drop it down to Torment 8 and you can just one-shot most stuff, it still kind of sucks. Once again, this is one of those builds that I think is really, really fun, but all of that just gets taken away by just how bad that actual set is. Like, that's just too bad to want to play and have fun, in my opinion anyway. So I've checked out a couple of other weird one-off builds and that kind of stuff, but yeah, there it is, guys. I hope if you are interested in the Barbarian that, yeah, you do consider this. Play around with both, make the decision for yourselves, and yeah, there it is, guys. That's my experience on the Barbarian right now. Probably going to check out another class pretty soon, but yeah, there you go, guys. Diablo 3, Furious Charge Barb versus the Leap Barb. Catch ya.